Welcome to my tutorial of PigShip and the Giant Wolf, and this is available on both PS5 and Switch, and it's $3 on both platforms currently, so it's a cheap fucking game, and I'm definitely going to review this one. And, overall, I thought it was a decent game. Nothing great, but definitely worth the $3 for a playthrough. It does have some definite issues with being pretty clunky. It took me around 57 minutes to beat. The game has unlimited continues, but one of the big fucking issues I have is that it's one of those games that doesn't save. So once you start this game up, be committed to finishing it, because if you take your Switch out of suspend mode or your PS5 or whatever and play a different game, then you will have to restart the entire game. Now, of course, luckily it didn't take me too long to beat, but I've seen other reviews where players said it was quite a difficult game and they either quit it or it took them a while to complete. So it's going to vary. I still, even though it didn't take me super long, I still like to have the option to play other fucking games. I don't like when games lock me in, especially when it's a game with unlimited continues. I could understand if the game had limited continues, but even then they should offer a suspend mode or something built into the game, so you don't have to use the system suspend mode. Because even if this was on Xbox, the quick resume feature is not always reliable, and games do crash. So yeah, the basic idea with this game is it's a shooter, and you have 3 lives to complete each stage, 3 default lives, and you have unlimited continues. But if you waste all your lives, you will start the beginning of the stage. Some of the larger stages do have checkpoints where, at least when you continue, you can go back to the checkpoint. So that helps. Big issue with the game is that you have this huge hitbox. As you can see, you got this huge ship, and most of that ship can take damage if it's hit anywhere on the ship. So there's not a lot of room to squeeze through. A lot of times, instinctually, I thought I had space to go around a wall or something like that because of how many shooters, that I've played with smaller ships. And this definitely ain't no bullet hell shooter with those tiny hitboxes. You're going to, for being such a fat fuck, you're going to pay for it trying to go around walls if you're not really paying attention to how you're lined up. You do have to squeeze through the pretty tight bullet pattern sometimes, but the game doesn't always feel well designed around that, as it does kind of make you put you in some bad situations that are hard to get through without taking damage. Near the end, around the final boss, I didn't even know what the fuck was hitting me. There was this one part and another irritating section there. I'll explain it later, but definitely some issues I had with the game. But I'd say for $3, if you have some tolerance for games like this, you may have some fun with it. I had some fun with it, even despite its issues. Not much to say for the first stage, aside from explaining the basic mechanics of the game. Now, you do have these bombs. When you press the bomb button, you will release a bomb that shoots out a ton of fucking bullets, like a bullet hell pattern. And that will clear out a lot of shit bullets and enemies, and it does decent boss damage. It does pretty damn good boss damage. So I like to save them for the bosses when possible. But if there's a bullshitty part that I don't really know how to get through, sometimes I'll just use it. And you'll see that in the video where I use them. So you can take that into account, and you may find it useful to use them in the same areas. But I would base it more on what's giving you trouble. I mean, if you can get past the part that I'm using the bomb on, then save the bomb if you don't need it. I knew the stages were short, so I, got an idea of how I was going to budget all my items for the boss and all that shit. So yeah, you see the continue screen at the beginning of this. That indicates that I did use a continue, but since this is edited down, I'm not showing where I had unsuccessful continues. So I'm just showing the fact that I did continue. So you're seeing me start the section with a fresh set of lives, and that's how the whole thing is edited. Take cover here at this part, and just wait a while for all these enemies to pass. This part, they clearly put that there because there's a lot of bullshit on screen, so it's good to use. Make sure you move all the way to the right when this laser comes out, but be ready to move back to the left after that thing passes because there's a lot of bullets. Try to take out what you can and clear out these little guns on the bottom if you can. Remember, you can also switch firing types with one of the buttons, so you have 3 different types of shots you can alternate between, and they're all good for different parts. So the game does make you switch weapons pretty frequently because there's parts where you can't hit certain things without a certain gun. So this gun that I'm using here, this is the most powerful shot. If you have accurate aim, it's good to use to take out enemies fast, bigger enemies, bosses, etc. Now this is a split shot. It has a little bit more range. Since it splits out into 2 shots, it can be good even though it's not as powerful. And then you have your shot where it shoots up into the back and below your ship. And that shot is more of a tool that you use for very specific situations. And you'll see when I use that. See, your ship is so fucking fat, it is hard not to hit into the walls, even though it looks easy as fuck. You know, normally this would not be an issue, but in this game, I did have more issues than I normally would. I mean, it's kind of interesting to have something a little different, you know, playing with a super fat fucking ship, you know. It's not necessarily a positive with a game, but it's kind of cool. Just for something different. But yeah, so for this boss, you got to take out all these various pieces of the boss, and then it'll die. So take out the gun. I would take out the guns first. Then this part was weird. You see me making direct contact with this enemy dispenser, but it's not flashing, right? And that kind of goes into the jankiness of the game. So I'm not doing any damage to it right now, apparently. So you'll see me switch weapons in a little while. And then all of a sudden, like, I switch weapons, and then all of a sudden I must have hit the sweet spot on the enemy dispenser. Because then it starts taking damage. I did do this for a little while, since I beat this stage very quickly, meaning I didn't have practice on it or anything really, so I think this is my first time getting to the boss. It was making a sound that almost sounded like it was doing damage, but I didn't see any visual flashing, so I kind of assumed I wasn't doing damage. So now I start experimenting with some different weapons. That doesn't make contact either for some odd reason. Still not flashing. So eventually I think I switch my weapon and it magically does damage, which is really weird. I mean, that's not usually how these kind of games work. I mean, you do have to use different weapons in these games for you know, it helps to use different weapons for different scenarios a lot of times, but for some reason this game required me to switch weapons to the double shot, which is odd. Because, like, you wouldn't think that the weapon isn't reaching any area that the other shot couldn't hit. The other shots were able to hit in there, so I don't know why only that one damages these things. So keep in mind, you probably have to use that split shot for the enemy dispenser. Then you can switch back to your more powerful standard straight shot. But it's just odd. It's design decisions like that are just kind of clunky and shitty. You know, it's like all these little things that make the game kind of feel kind of shitty, which will definitely be reflected in my review. So yeah, this is a game that once you boot it up, you know, don't boot up the game until you're committed to actually sitting through and trying to bust it out. I mean, you can beat it over the course of several days, but you just got to put your Switch in rest mode and can't play anything else on Switch. So I had so many fucking systems, it wasn't a huge deal, but if I wanted to play like, you know, Rabbids 2, which I was working on the second Rabbids game, which I did finally complete, I wasn't able to do that until I finished this, so I was like, fuck it, let me just sit here and grind this out. And it didn't take long. I thought it was going to take me several hours based on the reviews that I saw that were really complaining about the fucking difficulty. But, yeah, it wasn't bad for me, but it can be. It just depends, you know, how familiar are you with these games. So this is going to be your first checkpoint after you defeat this little mini-boss here. Once you go inside this pyramid, all you got to do is stay in the gaps. Also, I forgot to mention, I didn't find this out until late game, but one of the buttons actually gives you a temporary shield that seems to absorb some damage. I don't know if it makes you invincible. Normally, you can take 3 hits. See, now you see me starting at the checkpoint. Just go in there and you'll go back to your checkpoint. But normally, you can take 3 hits before your ship dies. Certain things will kill you in 1 hit, like certain obstacles. But normally, you can take 3 hits. But if you use the temporary shield, it seems like you can take extra damage. Though sometimes I seem to die even with the shield. So I'm still kind of confused on what the shield protects you from exactly and what it exactly does. But it did seem to help when I was spamming it at times. So keep in mind that you do have a shield that you can just use. You can use it in more dangerous parts in the hopes that maybe it'll absorb some of the damage. And that can keep you alive a lot longer. It did seem to help a little bit when I started using it. Here is mostly just dodging and knowing when to switch to this weapon, this up and down weapon. You can also use it to get the health, the heart, that gives you some health back. Switch your weapons here and shoot that thing on the side so you can move the barrier out of the way. And then switch back to your vertical shot to clear out the wall so you can move down. So for these, you can either wait these things out or kill them fast using this vertical firing thing. It shoots to your back and vertically, so you can use that, and it makes it easy to take those out. Alternatively, you can wait it out if you want, but it's easy to take them out if you're aggressive with this shot. You may be able to power up your weapons too, but I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to what the power-ups did. I just kind of memorized the levels, and I grab the power-ups when I see them, but I wasn't obsessed about it. So with this, you want to kind of move with it, but these obstacles, I think they may one-hit kill you, so be careful with that. Use your temporary invincibility if you do get killed to just bust through. You have a few seconds of temporary invincibility after you die at least, so use that. This boss is very easy. Switch to this shot, and you're just going to take out these pieces for now. Things will get a little bit more challenging in the later stages. So yeah, so just shoot that button is what you're trying to do. When you hit the button a certain amount of times, it will strike the boss with lightning. Use your bomb here on the alligators. Since this is the hardest part of the boss fight, just waste all your bombs on that. And the rest will be very, very easy. So don't worry about saving bombs for the rest of the fight. The bombs don't damage the boss directly. It's the button that you have to hit. I suppose you could bomb the button if you really wanted to, but I don't see why you would do that. So now you're going to kind of just catch these things as they come down. It's kind of like Kaboom for the Atari 2600. Just try to catch all these things. And it's a cool boss fight. It's, I like how they mix it up. It's kind of unique. But all you're trying to do is catch these things. Now, if any of them get through, I think you take a hit. So it won't instantly kill you, but it's not good for your health. But it's very easy. You may miss one or two. And then use the vertical shot and finish off that little button. And that's it. So now you're halfway through the game. Congratulations. It will escalate from here. Definitely, it does get harder. But I think the strategies you see, I think it's going to give you a good idea of what to do when you play the game, and it should cut your time down. So here I start with my straight shot because it's more powerful, and some of these enemies seem to take multiple hits, so I like starting off with that. Especially the seahorse takes multiple hits. So let's start off with that. Just try to dodge best you can. Use your shields too, don't forget. Try to spam them if you need them. It'll give you that extra little thing to fall back on. I use a bomb here because that part gets kind of fucking dense with all this bullshit. And then I try to clear out these missile dispensers and the missiles. But it does get kind of sloppy here, and I feel like the game can get very sloppy. It doesn't so much feel like I'm playing badly as it does feel like the game is getting a little sloppy with the huge hitbox and trying to get in through all this shit. It feels like kind of a mess. I mean, I know I could be playing better, but it doesn't feel like you should have to. It feels like the game should just feel better to play. Take out those two wall shield things. You gotta shoot them with the double shot because it won't go inside that narrow opening. The first one, anyway, you gotta shoot with the double shot for some weird reason. The wider shot will not go through there, and it's not even that wide, but it just won't fit. So use your double shot to get in those small corridors to shoot those buttons. You got to shoot both buttons so that the lightning goes away. Otherwise, you will take a hit. You can try to grab the bomb if you want, but I didn't even bother. I just shoot the button, and that was it. The bomb is not going to be worth taking damage or dying. But I died anyway because the ship is so fucking fat. But you want to try to shoot off those things and then get in the middle, obviously. But it can be a little tricky. I don't think this level has any checkpoints, so you do have to do it in one, but you have your 3 lives, I believe it is, and 3 hits each. So this boss can be a little tricky. Just be aggressive, I recommend. Use your standard shot, which is the most powerful, and clear out all these pods. First take out the first thing, then clear out the pods. I think you have to clear out all the pods to open it up. Yeah, now just get close to the boss. And just, shoot the shit out of it. And that's it. It's really not too hard. If you have some bombs, you can use those too to clear out some shit. On that stage, though, I would mostly use my bombs for the obstacles in this stage. There's a lot of irritating obstacles in that stage. So, You can see if you watch it, you'll see where I used my bombs. Those are probably good areas to use it, but you may want to, just play the stage for yourself and see what parts give you trouble. It's better to use a bomb than to lose a life. So this is far at this point. This is pretty far into the game. You got to watch out for that text that comes out of those wolves' mouths, so be aware of that. It does get pretty aggressive here for how fat your ship is. I think this may be another short stage with no checkpoints, if I remember right. But it has been a few days. Not sure what the star does, but use that vertical shot to take out the turrets if you can. Or you could just drive through them, because they're not going to shoot at you once you pass through them, so you don't have to take them out. You can focus on the other enemies. It's probably a better idea. This one you want to take out, though. I mean, you could move, I guess, but it's really tight. I don't know if you can get through there without taking damage. You can use your vertical shot to take out those carrots that it shoots out, too. You'll get some health. This looks like it's in the foreground, these ice cubes, but they're just part of the background. That's another problem I had with this game, is that certain shit that could hit you in the background really wasn't clear. I would hit into these cave walls. I think it was in the previous stage. I would drive into the cave walls because they look like they were in the background. The black and white probably doesn't help, but it's not even just that. It's just the visuals are not well done with that. I mean, you'll learn after you take damage, but on the final stage, I never did figure out what was damaging me, though, in one part. So sometimes I would just get killed. So I think the boss is coming up soon. So yeah, take out that head first. I think the head shoots a bullet pattern that spreads a lot, so that's the hardest thing to dodge, I think. So take that out first, and then there's not much left. I couldn't even see what I took out after that. Just look for the flashing parts, obviously. Use your bombs if you hopefully you try to save at least one bomb or something. It makes it easier, but you don't need it. So now, I believe this is the final stage. Yeah, this is the final stage. So there is a checkpoint in this stage too. So while it's the hardest stage, it's really not that bad if you, once you get used to it. It may not even be the hardest stage, honestly. Just stay all the way on the right. It looks like those things in the background will hurt you, but they don't. They're in the background. So I made that mistake initially as well. Use your shield. You see me spamming the shield just in case those bullets hit me. It can save you from taking damage, so use it. Definitely spam it a bit in this area, because this is a really dense area. You can even use your bombs here. It doesn't matter because this level is pretty short, and you'll get to a checkpoint soon anyway. So don't be afraid to waste up your bombs, because once you get a checkpoint, you'll start with all your bombs again when you continue. So, like I said, you don't have to be super conservative. Use them if you need them in these parts. Watch out for those lasers. When the lasers go away, just try to bust through. You can do it all in one swoop. You don't have to do them in any order or anything. Just wait for them to go away and just fly through. Take out these little circles on this thing. They're like locks, and once you remove them, the barrier will move out of the way. If you don't do that, you'll probably crash into it and die. So here's some health here. Stay in the middle of these things. I don't know if they hurt you, but they don't look safe. I think they do. This part is very easy. You're going to see smiley faces appear in the circles. And when the smiley faces appear, that indicates where the laser is going to shoot from. So stay in the blank spot. That's all you got to do. It's super easy. I like to keep moving left and right so that I'm constantly in motion and not going from a dead stop. But you probably don't need to do that. Just be ready to move to the blank circle. I was also spamming shield, but it seemed to go through my shield. I think certain attacks just bust through the shield and insta-kill you. Or at the very least damage you. So be aware of that. You really don't have to die on that. But it doesn't matter. As long as you get past that, now you're at the checkpoint as soon as you get here. So I may even show the death here just because, because it shows where the checkpoint is. But this thing is really inconsistent. Like sometimes I shoot it and it pushes it back. Other times it doesn't get pushed back at all. It's really weird. So let's see it again. Now we'll see where the checkpoint is. This is from a fresh continue. And this was on my successful attempt. Now at first it looks like you're starting at the beginning, but if you go in this shortcut, it will take you back to your checkpoint just like the other stage did. So try shooting inside this mouth to push it back. But look, now it's not working, right? So I have no idea how you push it back. Like, it's not just the weapon type, because I'm pretty sure I've tried the standard shot to do that, and it didn't work sometimes either. So I have no idea. I think that part is really fucking sloppy. And while descending in that part, I was also getting hit by something in the background that I had no idea what it was, too. So I don't even know. Just try your best. Wait for an opening in these things, and if you time it right, you should be able to move through them when they go up. But you have very little space to do it, so you got to be fast. But you see how I did it. There's a way to do it. I got kind of lucky. I was getting killed a lot on that. Use your vertical shot to take out this area down and start moving down. Make sure you clear out these enemies. It's not too hard at this point. There's a lot of slowdown and lag at this point. The game really stutters and slows down, which has gotten me hit before on that part. It's weird, but take out these locks again and kill the guns. You want to try to get to the bosses with at least 2 lives. It makes it a lot more doable. So if you lose 1 life, not a big deal. If you lose 2 lives, you're probably going to have a hard time. You may even want to suicide, but you can try it. But it's usually I would lose at least 1 life because that part feels very sloppy. So, because a lot of times I try to push the face back, but it just doesn't work at all. It seems random as fuck. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I couldn't figure it out how to do it consistently. So I took the death there, but I did make it through the crushers at least. So now is the final boss. Use your standard shot for the ears and the nose. Take out the nose first, and then take out the 2 ears. And now get underneath the nose, and you'll avoid most of the damage initially. And take out this bubble near this secondary face in the stomach. Try to take that bubble out, that window. Once you take that out, the face is going to come out at you. So try to loop around it. Take out this little bottom thing too. And now try to loop around the face and get in close to this part. See, I was able to take that out super fast once I was in there. I used my bomb in there. I recommend saving at least 1 bomb to bomb it, because otherwise you'll be shooting at that for a little while. And it's easy to die. I was fucking up. I beat that boss like at least 2 other times, but I died right after beating it. And you don't get credit. If you die after beating it from any stray bullets, you don't get credit. So, you want to really take it out fast. Once you can get a bomb in there, it makes it easier. But yeah, not a super challenging game. It's kind of bullshitty, though. For how short it is kind of bullshitty with some of the positioning and the size of the ship. It doesn't feel like it's real well designed around the size of your ship. But yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. And thanks for watching.